Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the weekly news and review for January 17th, 2021. We've got some more Masterpiece reveals this week. We've got updates on Masterpiece projects. We've got more reveals for the Legends, and of course, some stuff going on in the main line. Excellent news for this week coming up. First up, a couple things that I'm finding at Show Z that I don't find at many other places, and it's the ABC Toys 005 Angel Engine, and this is the Transformers Prime version of RC. Now, we're also getting a Hasbro release of Red Wave 2 RC, but this is fully transformable, pretty much just like the original figure. I don't know, but it looks like it's got a paint job to it that might just be like a metal fleck plastic, but I think this one looks really good. Also at Show Z, they are calling for payment on the pre-orders for Smokey, which means it's getting shipped to Show Z. Well, that's what getting the payment request usually means. It doesn't say incoming just yet, but I believe it's on its way. It's due in January, and I expect to see this thing pretty soon. So we got some news for this week. So pre-orders went up at TF Source with a price and a release date for the X-Transbots Virtus. Now, this means a lot to me because I've been waiting for this. I think it's going to be the most definitive version of a Springer that we're going to see in the Masterpiece line. Now, I hope X-Transbots, of course, doesn't let me down. A couple things about this. It's going to be $200, $199.99, which is far more than I originally expected. But it is a triple changer, and it is cheaper than the Fans Toys triple changers of $220. So I think they're kind of learning their lesson. You stay a little bit behind the Fans Toys pricing, and they're offering quite a few throw-ins here. We got, look at these accessories: 2 guns, 5 faces, maybe 6 if there's one already on it. You got, of course, the obligatory bomb stand, which we're not seeing with a lot of Fans Toys offerings these days, and we see a little character of his human version. All this stuff with blast effects looks really cool. I look forward to this a lot. Before we get Virtus, we're going to be getting the X-Transbots low-key. I still want to call them Lock. I like Lock better. And this is the box that it's coming in. So, you know, X-Transbots like to throw the box out there and say, you know, this stuff's on the way. It feels like it's getting really close to getting this guy. Box art does look pretty good. Here is the back, and the back does feel a bit reminiscent of G1 type of packaging. Of course, when we get that tech spec kind of stuff going on there, looks really good. It's exciting. I can't wait to see how well Loki stacks up to the Fans Toys. So while we're talking about X-Transbots, they have a test shot of their Omnibot Overdrive. They call it Fioravante. And Fioravante, this thing looks pretty good. Now, you're going to kind of have to imagine it with the right colors and the paint scheme and all that good stuff. And the reason that there's different color plastic on it is because they use pretty much whatever colors they have laying around. But it also makes me think there's something different about each one of the colors, because you notice the hands and the elbows are blue. All of the joints are the blue. And then, like, the main body that you know is going to combine together to be what's exposed in car mode is a different color. So it's interesting how this looks, and it kind of gives you some of an insight into how they develop these figures. But it does look really good. I'm excited for this for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're getting into more obscure characters. I really hope they give it to us for a decent price, and I hope they continue giving us more obscure characters. I really don't want to watch Third Party and Masterpiece just cannibalize themselves over and over every year. Let's move, let's spread out, and let's get a whole larger variety of characters. They're doing it, and you know what? We're also seeing Takara do it too. So we're getting pictures and information about Mp52 Plus, which is going to be the Thundercracker. It's just basically Starscream repainted blue. I mean, we know this is what happens with Seekers. And the thing about this is going to be out in October. So we're looking at, it's only going to be like 4 or 5 months after the Starscream. We're not going to have to wait a year to get another color Seeker like we were in the past. It seems like these are going to come out, they're going to come rolling these out pretty quick. Again, this is a clean alt mode. It's a pretty clean alt mode. I think all of the jets in the main line were already pretty clean alt mode, so I don't think really that's where we're looking at seeing the improvement. We're seeing the improvement mostly in the bot mode. Here is the back. The back is pretty clean. That's one of the points of contention about the Mate toys, is how clean the wings are in the back. But again, it doesn't really bother me that much on the Mate toys. But this one here in the front, now here it is. This is Thundercracker. He looks pretty good. Again, we're all still kind of curious. Will it have that waist swivel? Will it have ab crunch? Will it just be one solid chunk for a torso? Again, stuff we don't know yet. We're just guessing from all of the photos. And since this guy does come with a few less accessories than Starscream, he's $10 cheaper. He's only going to be $240. And I know only and $240 probably shouldn't go together in the sentence. Looking at some Takara, well, Takara-esque. We got KO Hound, the first one that's coming out. It's the 1-to-1, I believe. Not the one that's going to have die-cast mixed into it. This is just going to be pretty much the exact same thing as the original. And I think it looks pretty good. In fact, trying to look at the colors in mine, I think this has a more vibrant green to it. Again, I don't know. And I'm not 100% sure if it's even painted like the one that's painted. But I think this looks good. I think they're going to do a pretty good job with it, more or less, for less than half the price. It's more like a third of the price at $60 instead of $160. So it's a pretty good deal, I think, for the KO. I plan on getting my hands on one because I'm kind of scared to death of the official one. It's so fragile. It just feels like it's going to break all the time. And the Jeep mode looks good. Now, I'm trying to figure it out. I don't think the Autobot symbol is actually printed on. It looks like a sticker in here. So that's still a question mark that I have about this figure. So we got some more pictures of the Transcraft Beetle, which is their take on a Bumblebee movie, Bumblebee. And I'm hearing from everybody this is going to be the best one. But here's the box art to it. So it does look way different than anything we've seen before. Bumblebee box. Looking at Bumblebee in both modes, side by side, that looks pretty good. It looks pretty spot on. I do like the fact, of course, that it is going to be a beetle, is going to be a bug. I do feel like it's really panel liney. I've always felt that way. But again, what mode do you care about the most? And I think the bot mode on this will shine the most. Here it is next to a Prime. So there, it looks good, and it scales well with that particular Prime that it has in the picture right there. And I don't know who all's in on this, who thinks it's going to be best. It's going to be interesting to find out, because I think we're up to 6 or 7 of these that are coming out. So there seems to be a whole lot of releases from Flames Toys, or reveals from Flames Toys, and things that are coming out. And there's a Starscream. Now, I feel like I've seen this one before, but this is the non-transformable Karakuri line, and this thing looks good. Of course, it is stylized. It's got that style to it. And if you're already in on this and collecting these, then you know what you're getting into. And again, it does look great. And they're also doing a Leo Prime. And the thing about this, Leo Convoy Prime, is that what it's called? But it's definitely an interesting take, and looks like it has a lot more going on than the Masterpiece version. And so with that, it comes with a few accessories. It has a large energy sword, and then you can put it in the sheath. It also has a cape cloth and a detachable lion head shield, and a lot of stuff going on with this thing. Highly posable, and it does look pretty good if you're in on this guy. They're also putting out a Flames Toys RC. Now, not a whole lot of information about her now. I'm wondering, she should be coming with guns, I would think, and a few other things. But I'm a little disturbed about all of the excessive amount of panel lines that are on her. I imagine when you see it in hand, when you see the real figure and not just a line drawing, that it's going to look a lot better. Those angles and those lines are going to make a whole lot more sense when you see the figure in real world, real pictures of this thing, and not just a line drawing. So, but at first I was put off by it, but the more I look at it, the more I understand that's just the angles and the curvature of all of the different aspects, especially the backpack. Backpack in this picture looks like a boulder, and when you see it in real life, it's going to have angles and it's going to look robotic. And they're making a red version of the Drift here, Flame Toys Drift, and I think this thing looks really good. I think that the design of this one was always a pretty good design. People liked it before, and now it's getting a recolor, and I think that thing does look really nice. And of course, we've seen Windblade before, but here it is, and I think this one is slightly different than the last one that we saw, but really close to the last one I saw. But here goes Windblade if you're in on it. So I don't know how I almost missed this end cap at Target, but at Target, you know, they had it loaded up with Transformers labels for the shelves. No Transformers, but look at the very bottom there. There is a Masterpiece Bumblebee for the Bumblebee movie, so I didn't even know this was coming out. Like, I don't really know how I'm missing what's supposed to show up on the shelves at Target in the Masterpiece line, but somehow I always miss it. It's just a surprise when I see it on the shelf. And there's always more than one, and they almost always get clearanced out. Just curious, are you guys seeing these in your Targets? So Magic Square just kind of threw out some pictures of a Bumblebee. It's like, hey, we got this Bumblebee laying around. Check it out. And I think it's kind of cool that they are making a Bumblebee, and you know, you start to scratch your head and you say, well, why exactly is Magic Square working on a Bumblebee right now? And then you realize that, oh yeah, New Age is making a Bumblebee. If New Age puts something out, Magic Square's right on the heels with their picture and their reveal. Well, this is not even just a picture, it's the actual figure. It's really cool. In a way, it's almost annoying. I do like the design of Magic Squares better than the design of New Age. But it's going to be that same thing. New Age is going to come out with a better paint scheme at first, and then Magic Square is going to come out 6 months later with a really well-painted Bumblebee. It's the game that they're playing and how they play it now in 2021. Magic Square also has something. It appears that you can make this Bumblebee taller or shorter, because you look at the lower legs, because there's the same figure on either side here, right? And the lower legs are condensed down where the feet are up higher on the right side, and the feet are down lower, so it's taller on the left side. So I want bigger is better, so I'd make mine taller no matter what. And I think the proportions are better when he is taller. And of course, look at the beautiful paint job on that Prime. That's almost like saying, hey, we're going to have a paint job like this coming for this Bumblebee. Now, I don't think this is the best looking alt mode ever for Bumblebee. I mean, you're going for a Volkswagen Bug, but it does look a little bit weird. Not bad, though. I don't think it's horrible. It just looks a little bit weird. But I'd have mine in bot mode 99.9% of the time anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. And we're seeing more and more and more pictures of Magic Square and their Minosaur team that's coming out of the Stunticons here. And I think they look good. They look really good. Now, is this something you'd say, hey, it's good enough to upscale to Masterpiece and completely replace a Masterpiece version? I don't think so. But I think for Legends and the size, and we kind of give them a pass because of the small size, they work really well. And then for the size, it's very impressive for them being that small. Here, again, are the alt modes. And we've seen this before, but these are different pictures, so let's have a look at them. And then, of course, we have I always kind of like these kind of shots. They kind of look like they're passing each other on the highway. They're driving around doing some crazy stuff. But I think overall, very good looking representations. So we've got pictures of this eHobby exclusive deep cover figure for the main line. And I want to say a few things about it. First of all, this is, of course, just the Sideswipe remold or redeco of Sideswipe. It looks like this thing is painted about 75%. It looks like it's got a good paint job. So I like that. I don't know much about this character. I just don't really remember it from, I guess it's from the show, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. But I think it looks good. I think it looks cool. And you know they're going to get a lot of repaints out of the mold. I like the way this looks. Next up, if you missed this at Target, since now they're out of the system at Target more or less, I haven't seen anybody pick one up in Target, and I haven't seen them show up in Target for now 2 months now. So if you missed it, good old Entertainment Earth should be getting a stock of these in, and maybe other online retailers will follow suit. So if you missed out on this set, it's a really good set. You really need this to have your Seekers complete, and I think Earthrise just is great all the way around, and I think it's getting better as we get into Kingdom and Studio Series, but these are good figures. And I guess instead of spending $150 on eBay, get them for the normal $60 price. So it's official. The Headmasters are showing up at US retail, and it's exciting. I gotta say, it's exciting to see this stuff show up. I like the packaging. And the cool thing about the packaging here is that it looks super retro. The figures are cool. I already have them, so it's a tough spot for someone like myself who's been collecting for 25 years and already have a representation of these to have to rebuy them. So it's tough. I might wait for a sale or something like that. but it's still exciting to see anything in a G1 packaging on store shelves. So, speaking of G1 packaging, and I think I need to do an entire video just kind of rounding up all of these Walmart reissues and what's been going on with them, but I got a blaster today at Walmart for $2.25. I checked BrickSeek. I've seen them as cheap as $1.10. And I've seen several that are still full price in other locations. And that's out of about 20 different locations here in the middle of the country. So check your Walmarts. None of the Walmarts anywhere have the price change. This is something done in the computer, not by the local stores, but in the computer. And somehow it's just marking them down 90%. And I don't know why. Whatever they marked them down for initially, they're getting a 90% markdown from that automatically in certain markets, which is why it's getting as cheap as $1.10. Of course, I didn't get them for that price. I had to pay the $2.25 for mine. Thanks to Crimzeek Reviews, we're getting pictures of the Kingdom version of Ultra Magnus. And I think these are a little bit better than the pictures we got before. And again, I feel the same way. I feel like the Kingdom is the better option of the two. But is it better enough to replace the one you have? I don't know. I think that it's a little cleaner, it's a little more G1, but I feel like the Siege one did a good job in the first place, and it's pretty darn close. I also still feel like if you had the Siege upgrade kit, maybe you could swap it over to the Earthrise one. I don't know for sure, but looking at it and analyzing it, it seems like you could. Here's kind of what they look like underneath the armor when you pull the armor up, and a mid-transformation type of picture there, and it looks so different when you look at it like this. It looks more similar when you have them fully transformed. You can see the differences, the cleaner look of them, of course, of the newer one. Here they are from the back, and I do think well, they don't display very well from the back, so don't put this guy in the corner and look at him from behind. But there he is. And here's the alt modes. Again, the alt mode is a little bit more G1, a little bit cleaner, but I don't think it's great. So it looks like the one on the left is more, what is it, RID that it's going for? Look, that kind of a look. Then on the right's more of a G1. But either way, I don't think either one of these knock it out of the park. We've got pictures of Generation Select's G2 Ramjet and Transmutate. Now, this picture is kind of a mock-up of what they're going to look like. The reality is that the Seeker is going to look like the Earthrise version of the Seeker, I think. Kind of like we're getting with the G2 Sandstorm. This is the G2 Ramjet, but that's the color scheme it's going to come in. And then we're going to get Transmutate. Now, I am kind of excited about Transmutate. If you know anything about the character Transmutate, he was only in one episode of Beast Wars. There was one that's made in the Masterpiece and third party, and I think that was a Transcraft or Transart. Transcraft, I think, made that one. I have to look that up. I've got it. I just can't remember the name of it. But the original one for Beast Wars was kind of a Build-A-Figure, and it's really expensive to get one this day and age. So now to put one out in a whole new mold and make it even better than the original one, it'd be kind of interesting to see how well they go with it, what they do with it. I mean, I'm pretty sure the parts will come off. Maybe this will be a weaponizer. I think this will be the greatest weaponizer. If you've seen the show, you know he blows up. So that would make sense to make this thing a weaponizer. Really cool idea. They're going really far. They're digging deep, and they're moving down the line in Transformers history. We've got pictures of the Takara, Tomy, Studio Series Starscream, and looks like a Studio Series Bumblebee version of Starscream. Looks pretty good right there. Here he is in his bot mode, and I originally thought this was just kind of a recolor of Blitzwing, and now it is a completely different mold, so that's really cool. Here he is in his alt mode, and the alt mode, that is the alt mode. I don't know. I don't know. I got to rewatch Bumblebee to see how close this is to the actual. Something seems a little odd to me on this alt mode, but maybe it is really accurate. I just don't remember very well. Transitioning into some Star Wars news, the He-Man Origins is hitting targets, and we're seeing He-Man, Skeletor, Battlecat, and this guy showing up at your targets. So if you miss any of it at your Walmart, or if somehow your Walmart didn't get super duper stocked with them like mine have, then pick them up at Target. And it turns out Target is getting rid of this silly little April 1st April Fool's joke in January, the April 1st street date. Finally revealed that they're not going to enforce that anymore, or they took it off or whatever. So after 2 weeks of them sitting in the back room at my Target, I was actually able to buy a couple of the archive waves. So the pegs weren't empty for all of like 12 minutes. So we're hearing rumors for the Black Series, Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan coming in 2021 in the Black Series. And the cool thing about it is these are giving us some characters that we really need from the original trilogy. I think that we've kind of gotten away from original trilogy in a way. I know they've gotten quite a few figures, but all we seem to get are the main cast over and over and over when it comes to original trilogy. I like seeing them spread out the wings here. Maybe bring some excitement back to the Black Series line. So we're having some issues with Walmart and their distribution, and this is the strange thing going on here. So the Dinjarin or Mandalorian, they call this a build-up pack, but it's with the child, including the child. I think this is what they also call a build-up pack. They did a Black Series similar to this that was a Target exclusive, and then the Vintage Collection, which this is the Walmart exclusive. Now, Walmart is canceling pre-orders. Do you want to hear what's ridiculous about this? They canceled pre-orders, then they just put them up as able to order. They're doing this a lot, so it's kind of crazy. But the thing is, I actually ordered 2, and then my buddy's like, well, hey, I want one too. And I'm like, well, I want one for myself, one for my son, whatever. So I actually ordered 2 more. The reason is I want the free shipping when they came back in stock. But they were still all on pre-order. I got the second 2 I ordered, but not the first 2. So I don't get it. And of the first 2, one of those is canceled. Really crazy how things are going. Good luck getting your stuff if you're ordering it through a pre-order. Now, here's a quick secret and a tip how to keep up with Star Wars news. There really isn't any. Oh, just kidding. So, we're seeing these Tantive 4 playsets show up. And I'll have to admit, it does look pretty cool. I think it looks really good for a diorama, but that's $100 standing there. But if you put it on your shelf, you could make a really nice looking scene, and you could depict several different movies that utilize this ship. It looks pretty good, and it looks good from both sides. The back looks pretty good too, but it looks very Star Wars-esque, and this is one thing that I think of when I think of Star Wars, especially with the opening doors and all of that stuff. But there's also something really cool that we just found out is part of this set. They've introduced sort of a new gimmick that I've never seen them use before, and this is foot pegs. So basically there's just holes around the playset. You put the foot peg in the foot of the figure, and then you put the foot peg in the hole in the playset. So it could look clean all over, but you only have the foot peg going into the hole wherever you want to put the figure and have them stand and help to give them stability. So that's an interesting idea and an interesting take, and that's kind of taking old type of technology and moving it forward. It's not really tech, it's just more or less rethinking an old design. And lastly, I've been thinking a lot about what I want out of the Black Series line, Star Wars Black Series. I'm starting to kind of get tired of the offerings that they're putting out for the most part. And so I think I might make a video of what I'd like to see in the Black Series line to get excited for. I am an original trilogy lover, but there's characters and figures from pretty much all eras that I'd like to see at least one representation from. So I might have to do that video soon. So what do you think about this week's Weekly News in Review? What else is going on out there that I missed? Because I like to try to stay as up to date as I can. Like and subscribe. Titanium Hanger, out.